Be ready. Start. The learned single judge took cognizance of the provisions contained in Section 36 of the Act and the documents filed and proceeded to observe that now it is to be seen whether the Regulatory Commission has any power to ask for any guidance from the state government or to act in any manner so as to seek approval from the state government before granting approval of the first statutes or first ordinances. Section 36 in Chapter 4 of the Act deals with the constitution of the Regulatory Commission, and the opening sentence of the said section in subsection 1 is that the Regulatory Commission shall be established by the state government for the purpose of providing a regulatory mechanism at the state level and for working as an interface between the state government and the central regulatory bodies for the purpose of ensuring appropriate standards of teaching, examination, research, extension program, protection of interest of the students and reasonable service conditions of the employees. The Regulatory Commission is made to function under the general control of the visitor, that is, the governor of the state. Now, what is the meaning of word interface and whether could it be said that the Regulatory Commission is nothing but an agent of the state government to act in between the state government and the central regulatory bodies for the aforesaid purpose? The literary meaning of interface, as given in Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, is a device or connection or program that joins one device or system to another. The other more appropriate meaning is that the point where subjects, systems, etc. meet and affect each other. Thus, the Regulatory Commission set up under the Act has to be treated as a bridge in between the state government and the other central regulatory bodies for the purpose of ensuring appropriate procedure of teaching, etc., as given in subsection 1 of section 36 of the Act. Naturally, if such interface is required to get something examined, it has every right to refer the matter to the higher authorities of the state. In the case in hand, though nothing has been placed on record in the review petition, but in response to the connected writ petition, documents have been filed and it has been pointed out that the Regulatory Commission was of the view that the first statutes made by the respondent number 1 was required to be referred to the Law Department of the Government of Madhya Pradesh for seeking approval whether such first statutes were in conformity with different laws made in respect of establishing a higher teaching institutions or not. The matter was thereafter returned by the Law Department, saying that it was required to give legal opinion only on the legal issues and not in such a case where the statutes were required to be made. Since the medical education is also one of the part of studies and the department of the private university, the matter was thereafter referred to the Medical Education Department of Government of Madhya Pradesh, and it was decided that certain changes were required to be made with respect to the admission of the students in the private university. This being so, after the matter travelled up to the Chief Minister of the state, the subsequent orders were passed, of course, after the final disposal of the writ petition filed by respondent number 1 on 6/1/2012. The learned single judge also referred to Rule 2, Subclause 7, Subclause E of the High Court of Madhya Pradesh, Rules 2008, for short the rules, and concluded that the writ petition filed by the appellant for issue of a mandamus to respondent number 1 to publish the first statutes and the first ordinances, some provisions of which relate to admission of the students could be heard only by the division bench and not by the single judge, and an error apparent on the face of the record was committed in deciding the matter on 6/1/2012. The learned single judge accordingly allowed the review petition and directed that the matter be placed before the Chief Justice for issue of necessary instruction for listing of the matter before the division bench. Learned senior counsel for the appellant referred to sections 26, 28, 35 and 36 of the Act and argued that once the first statutes and the first ordinances were approved by the Commission, the state government had no role in the matter and it was bound to publish the same in the official gazette in terms of section 35. Learned senior counsel submitted that the direction given by the learned single judge wide order dated 6/1/2012 was legally correct and there was no occasion for him to recall that order at the instance of respondent number 1. Learned counsel further argued that the learned single judge committed a jurisdictional error by entertaining and allowing the review petition by treating the same as a petition for rehearing the matter. He submitted that the learned single judge could not have reviewed order dated 6/1/2012 by assuming that he had committed an error in appreciating the true scope of section 36 of the Act. He further submitted that instead of complying with the direction contained in order dated 6/1/2012, respondent number 1 contemporaneously issued directions in the matter of admissions of the students and suggested amendment in the first statutes, and on this ground alone the learned single judge should have declined to entertain the review petition. Learned senior counsel then argued that even though some provisions of the first statutes and the first ordinances relate to admission of the students, the writ petition filed for issue of a mandamus to respondent number 1 to publish the same in the official gazette was not required to be placed before the division bench of the High Court, and the learned single judge did not commit any error by entertaining and allowing the same. Thank you.